Hi and welcome to this Onshape tutorial. Today we're going to look at mates, and in the last tutorial actually we looked at mates and we looked at how to create a fastened mate, which is the simplest, and then we developed our knowledge by looking at other mates such as revolute all the way up to creating a tangent. And if you check that tutorial out, you will see how to do that. However, when we're applying all these different types of mates, we did not add what's called offsets or limits, which are used to control that movement within the assembly. So we're going to do that today, and then we're also going to look at how you can simply animate those different types of mates to preview how they would actually move if you were going to make and assemble those in real life. If we have a look in the complete and we zoom out, what we're going to do now is we're going to create, and we're going to edit actually, the existing mates that we've applied in the tutorial, and we're going to look at how we can add offsets and how we can add limits. So when you do that, it gives you more control. So if you have a look at this revolute, if I drag that, you will see it hits sort of that surface, it will not go any further, and if I pull it this way, it will not go any further that way. And if you have a look actually at the one I've created in there, I've not applied those, so at the moment it will just spin around, it will not hit a certain limit. And we're going to go through all these and have a go at creating those. So if I click on the tutorial tab and we zoom out, and first of all we have a look at the fasten. So we're going to have a look at offsets and limits now. If we zoom out and we come into here, I'm on the tutorial tab, so I have followed the previous tutorial and all these have been mated. So if we go into our mate list and we come down here, we can highlight this sort of first one, then we can right click and we can click edit. If we tick this option of offset, we've now got options to offset it in X, Y and Z, and we can also rotate it as well in X, Y and Z. If we zoom in and we have a look at these two mate connectors, they've been sort of mated together, as you can see, and you can see here if you look closer there's a Z, a Y and an X there, and we can move it in those directions and also rotate it. So if I wanted to go up and down on that, you can see Z there, I can type in a dimension or a value and that will move, and if you simply use it minus and plus values, you can move it up and down that axis in different directions along that axis. So you can see that I've created a gap. If I go on the Y, that's sort of backwards and forwards if we're looking at it, and you can see again you can type in a value like that, and you can confirm that. And at the moment, even though it's floating, it will not move. It's still fastened, If we go back in, we can reset those. And if we have a look, again, we've got those axes, here. We could reorientate these kind of things if we wanted to. And we can even flip it if we needed. Again, we've looked at that before. But what we're going to do here is we're going to go rotate. Right, I want to rotate that about Y, which is the green one, and I want to go 45 degrees. And if I click enter, that confirms that and rotates it like that. So if you wanted to create a slight angle, you could do. If you decide actually I don't want to rotate it that way, I want to rotate it by X. The red one, you go in here and again you type in your value, and you could easily type in a negative to flip it the other way. And you can confirm that. Obviously, if you see here, it's intersecting. That's physically impossible. So if we go back in, the first one, and edit, of course, we can reset that and confirm it. It's also the same for the second fasten. If we go in, we don't have any limits. We just have an offset value. And again, if I decide, have a look, if I wanted to move out on the X, I can type in a value and offset it. And then again, even though it's floating, it is fixed in position. So I'm just going to click undo. So that's how you can easily control and set the offset, and for each of these other mates as we go along there are offset options. So if you wanted something to slightly start off the surface or something like that, you can do that in any of them, and we'll have a look. And what we're going to do now, we're going to look at how we can apply limits to these. So that will stop, for example, okay, this one, okay, sliding off like that. We can apply limits between, and again, this one, we don't want it to go right through. Okay, we might don't want it to go right up. Again, we can apply, okay, limits to those. So if we zoom out here and we have a look at this first one, so revolute. If I'm on a tutorial one and I've applied it and I followed the video last time, you see if I grab this now, it's nicely rotating. However, if I keep going, okay, it will go through, which is obviously physically impossible, and it will go through the other way. So if I click undo, we want to stop that. We want to be able to limit it so it just rotates and sort of interacts with the surfaces down here. So how do we do that? If we have a look at the completed one, you can see this one will rotate and it will stop there and it will stop there. Okay, so if we scroll down and find it, and we look for revolute and we right click and click on edit, what you can see here is you could do an offset if you want. So you can have a look at it and think, right, on the Z, I want that to be slightly offset like that for a particular reason. Okay, you could easily do that. So, and again, you've got the different option of X and Y in that instance. I'm just going to untick that, so I don't want an offset this time. However, we've now got these values in here. So basically, if you click on the play, you can preview these once you type these in. So if I change that to 0, click that, okay, you can see it's slightly different, okay, as you can see there. So if I type in, I think it was -14, you will see it will go 14 degrees, okay, further down. Okay, click off it. There we go. It was a bit quick, it sort of bounced up quite quickly, okay. So if we do that, so -14 and 183, we go into here, we find our mates that we previously applied. We don't need to delete them and start again. So revolute, so if we hover over it, you see it appear on screen. It tells us there's no offset limits at the moment. So let's go in, edit, and we can just move this around and we go, right, we don't want an offset, and we can click on limits here. And you can see, I've been messing around with this before, it's already saved these in previously, okay, but you can type in a different value as you wish. And if we click on this, it's sort of bouncing between those, and that's what I want to do. And I can click and I can set that. Now if I grab it, oops, just to let it catch up, you can see it's sort of bouncing off those. And if I click on here and go reset, it'll go back to its original position. Okay, so you don't have to try and move it back, it will go back there, which is quite good. So if we come out now, we're going to have a look at all the rest, and let's start next on the cylindrical one. So what we're going to look at now is the cylindrical one. In the tutorial, if I grab this at the moment, what's happening is that can move up and down as far as it wants to go. There's no limits, and it can even pass through solid material like that, which we don't want it to do. We want that to be able to move up where I drag it and hit the bottom and not pass through. So if you've removed it like that and you think, oh, I can't get that back in the right position, you just right click on it and click on reset like that, and it'll go back. So if you have a look in here, we go down to, this is on the completed one, and we have a look and click on edit. We can see here we've added limits, and basically we set the limit Z, again maximum distance, to be 0, and what we're going to do is we're going to copy that basically, and you'll see how that affects this cylindrical one. So we'll go edit, limits. If we click play at the moment, look, it's just going through like that. So if I type in a 0 there, click play, oops, I don't think it's caught up. Let me just click and confirm that. There we go. It's sort of telling me, yeah, okay, you could go up and down, but then it's not going to pass through. All right. And again, if you want to, you could click in here and edit some values. If you only, for example, wanted to go up to a certain height. If you wanted, okay, like this, say a gap, if I type 15, so minus, say 15, there we go. We could create a bit of a gap. So if you click play now, you'll see it goes and sort of bounces but leaves a gap of 15 millimeters. And I can click 0 and it goes back to that surface. So the two surfaces are now touching and it goes up and down and hits that. Okay, so that's the cylindrical one. Again, you can mess around with some of the values. And then what we're going to do now, we're going to have a look at what sort of limits we can apply with this ball. So if we find the ball mate and we right click on it, click edit. Okay, you will see here within, okay, the ball, right, if I click on play, that's just going to spin, okay, around there like so. If I wanted to restrict, say we only wanted it to, okay, to rotate in one, okay, axis, then I'd probably want to start looking at some of the other, okay, types of mates and applying that. But if you see here, if you hover over that, the ball mate, it shows you it's got an arrow going in those different directions. So for example, the ball one, there isn't any particular, okay, limit, and there isn't any sort of offset. Okay, the two surfaces are going to stick together and it's just going to rotate within that. Okay, so it's a little bit similar to this first one that had just offsets. Okay, the other two we've looked at had offsets and limits, and then this one, okay, doesn't have any of those. It's just going to pretty much, okay, spin around in that hole. So there isn't anything on that. It's quite easy one to do. If we now zoom out and we can have a look at the slider. So the slider, we're going to, as you see on it at the moment, I've applied no limits. It's going to, I want it to hit, okay, this, but at the moment it's just banging, so it's just going right through. It's not even banging up against it, and it's not banging up against that. Okay, so I want to limit its movement. So if we have a look on the completed tab here, I'm just going to zoom out and zoom in. You will see obviously the difference between this one is actually, okay, hitting, all right, that surface there, and it's hitting that one. So it's got limits, okay, to stop it. So if we have a look in here, we're going to go for slider. Just going to reset that, and then we're going to right click on it and go edit, and we can actually see it. So limits, okay, you'll see the Z. Okay, so it's telling us it's going sort of that direction, and we got -9 and we got 9, okay, because that will be the distance right between, okay, there and there. So if we go to ours, and depending of course how we've created the mate, because we may have moved it, but if we click on that, if I click escape, sorry, if we click on that surface there and I click on that surface, it tells me there's a distance of 9 millimeters, and if I click on that surface and I click on that surface, again it tells me 9 millimeters. So good. So I just want it to move 9 and 9. Easy. So let's go down to our mates. Let's find the slider. Let's right click, click on edit. Again, I could click an offset if I wanted to, but I don't need an offset or anything like that. I want to go limits. I'm going to type in 9 and click off that, and you can see it move. Okay, I can click play, and let's have a look. So that's going to go up to there. Let's try 9 that way. Let's click play. Let's confirm that. Let's have a look what that's doing then. Aha, okay, I know what. I need to put a minus value in. So I'm going to click edit. Okay, so if I go -9, okay, whoop. There we go. It's just a bit sort of catching up. So got -9. Okay, there you go. So yeah, depending on where this has been positioned, you'll have to put those values in. If this was mated and it was right up to that end, okay, then I might have a 0, and then the distance would be, say, 18 or -18, depending on where it's positioned, okay? In this instance, of course, if you're designing something for your own, okay, design, or coming up with something, then these values obviously will be different, but it gives you an idea. So if I click on a plus now, fingers crossed that should, okay, hit that, because it was going 9 millimeters that way, and hit that because it was going 9 millimeters that way, and I can go wee like this all day. And if I go down to slider, I can right click and I can reset it to go back in position like that. So it's good to move it to be able to see what's happening and then reset it to its original position. Right, so we've got all of you left down here now. So if we click and have a look at the pin slot. So at the moment on my pin slot, I didn't add any limits. So if I grab this, it's like, oh, that's looking good. But then it's going to start coming right out of here and it's going to start going out of there, and it's not really doing anything I want it to do. So if we go to the complete and let's have a look at the limits. If we go to pin slot, let's reset it, and then so we can see where it started from, and we can go on edit. And what we've got here on the limits, we don't have offset. If we wanted to, you could do an offset and we could type in 5mm or say -5, whatever, and you can see that move. Okay, I'm not that interested about the offset on this one. We've got the X minimum distance, and then we've got the X maximum distance, and of course you could have it so it twists and rotates, okay, but that's set to 0, so it's got 30mm on that one. So let's have a look in here. Let's go and find our pin slot. Let's click on reset and also click on edit. Again, you've got offsets if you want, and we've got in here minimum 0, maximum 30. Let's have a look. Hey, there we go. So it's going up to the 30 there. If you wanted it all to go halfway, for example, you could type in 15, and you can see it's already going at halfway, value there. If you wanted it to say go from 5 to 25, you can see it go up to 25 and it bounces back, but it's obviously not, whoops, there you go, that's a bit of an angle. You see it's leaving a 5mm distance from the center of that pin and the center of that. Okay, if I zoom in, stop being lazy, it's 5mm from those two references, you see. Okay, so I'm going to type in 0. I want it to start 0 and I want to go up to the maximum of 30. And oops, just need to be careful. I'm going to click on play. There you go, yeah, confirm that. And tick it. And then I can drag it and I can test it out. Okay, and as you can see, that's moving along there like that. And I can reset it like so. Right, next one. Let's have a look. So what we're going to do now is set the planar. Okay, if you have a look at the planar I set before, I've selected this surface here, sort of inside this sort of box, and I've selected the underface of this green object or part here, and if I grab this, it will slide along there, but at the moment it's like coming out there. It's physically impossible to pass through there if there were two solid physical parts. So if I come down to here and find that first one, I'm just going to click on reset, and if we have a look on the completed one, you'll see the sort of type of limits. And again, with any of these, if you're following this, you're working within certain dimensions. If you're creating something yourself, obviously these would be different. But if we click on this and click on edit, you can see here we've not created an offset. An offset would be if you wanted, say, let's have a look, if I type in 10 or -10, you can see you could offset it up there like that if you wanted a slight gap or something, but I'm going to go 0 and turn it off. And what we've got, if we look above, and click on the play, it's allowing that to move 15mm from that point out there, to the right, to the left, to the back, the front, and so on, because I've set these here. So I've got 15 in basically the X, Y and Z, and that's sort of the minimum and then the maximum movement. And we can look at sort of setting them on ours and then Okay, in sort of batches, and you see how that's affected. So just going to reset that one, just in case we need to look back at it. Now let's find ours. So if we go to, okay, Planar, Edit, and we're going to look from above and zoom in on that area there. We don't need an offset, we're going to go limits. So let's type in, okay, -15, and go for 15. Let's have a look at that. Okay, that's not bad. Let's go -15, 15. Yeah. Let's go -15. Okay, 15. Okay, sometimes it's a bit difficult to visualize until you sort of come out of that and we can grab it and we can go, right, okay, where's this going to go then? Okay, so it's going to bang up against there, it's going to bang up against there, it's going to go up against that one, it's not going outside it, it's not going outside that, and it's coming down to here. Cool, so it's allowing that to move, okay, all the way in there, any sort of way I want to move it, and it's sticking to that surface. Okay, if we go to our tutorial tab, and the last one I'm going to look at is tangent and planar. So we use the combination of mates to keep that surface there and the surface underneath, this green one here. Okay, that's planar, so that will move, okay, along that surface. We then previously added a tangent, okay, between this green surface here and those surfaces around there, so when we grab this it will, okay, spin around. If we actually have a look at these and we go down in our list, okay, the planar, if we click edit, we've got the offsets again. If we click offset there, we could give it, okay, if we have a look, okay, and type in, so the Z offset 5mm. If we confirm that, you can see here again it's still sticking to that in terms of tangent, but this time it's 5mm above that initial surface, so you can add that offset there. Okay, if we go into the tangent and click edit, okay, the tangent, hence the name, okay, it's tangent to that surface. There is an option, okay, in here, like an offset or anything like that, so if we wanted to leave, say, a 1mm gap between there and have it still going around, okay, there isn't that option. So there's no option of offset or limit. So that's a little bit similar to the first one we did. If we come back into the planar one, like we did the planar one up here, we could add limits and we could set that if we wish, but the way this sort of interacts, okay, even though we could set certain limits, all right, it's always going to be sort of tangent, okay, to there, so it's not going to come off that, okay, like this one you can move. So, all right, you can see there some of them obviously have some limitation in terms of if you can apply limits and if you can apply, okay, offsets. Thanks for watching, and if you found this content helpful, please click like and subscribe, and also check out any other resources and videos created using the links in the description. I'll see you on the next one.